This is the arc screen. Here you can see in the very top bar, we have the drop down showing we have selected arc. The blue portion of the screen is the weld waveform, where it also will read out the various weld parameters. Just underneath the weld graph portion of the screen, you have the energy bar. This controls the weld energy. You can make adjustments by sliding your finger across the bar or by hitting plus and minus to the sides. This circle here above the energy slider shows you the spot size that will result when you make a weld based on these parameters. A similar spot size indicator is found here in the top right corner of the screen. The length slider will adjust the amount of time that the weld occurs. It can also be adjusted simply by sliding it up or down. In general, we recommend you keep the length at the full 100% of the bar. Also note that automatically changes as you make adjustments to your energy. Here we're at 60 milliseconds of a weld length. Automatically it drops to 30. If we go smaller, 15, 2.5 at a minimum. Underneath the length, we have the agitation settings. Agitation adds additional energy to the weld. We have 4 settings to choose. None, negative, where we drop the welder off, where we drop the weld energy off, pick it back up again, and oscillate it until the end of the weld. Sloped adds energy. It is in a sloping function. Here you can see it starts at the peak value of the initial weld and slowly gets less and less. Whereas sustained, our final option, maintains the peak voltage of the energy throughout the entire weld. The slider bar to the left of your agitation options allow you to control how much of the weld is agitated. You can have the final 10%, you can have the final 50%, or you can have all the way up to the full weld. Next we have ignition. Standard and Standard Plus are the options. You can see the change right here on the graph. Choosing Standard means the electrode pulls back as soon as the weld energy is released, whereas in Standard Plus, the electrode is allowed to pull back slightly before discharging the energy. This means that the electrode is less prone to contamination and sticking during the weld process. We also have on the screen the repetition rate of the welds. I can choose single fire, 1 at a time, or I can speed things up by selecting how many welds per second, up to 5 welds per second. In this bottom portion of the screen, we have the play pause. Play means I can weld. Pause means the welder will not make any welds. Undo will walk back through the process of changes that I made. Reset will reset the welder back to factory default. Please note it does not clear any saved settings that you may have already saved. Touch detect means the weld will initiate as soon as the workpiece comes in contact with the welding electrode. Foot pedal mode means the weld will not be initiated until the foot pedal is pressed.